So, last week we began a series of homilies based on John chapter 6, because starting last week, for the next 4 weeks coming, all of the Gospels are going to be John chapter 6, where Jesus develops his understanding of himself as the bread of life. So I said last week we're going to explore that a bit. Now, in John's Gospel, Jesus performs many miracles, but these miracles are never called miracles in his Gospel. They're always called signs. Now, signs can do a number of things. They can point us in the right way to go. They can reveal things to us or help us to understand things just a little bit better. But we can take signs in all sorts of ways. I'll tell you one way I misunderstood a sign. And that was about a year ago. Jordan came in one evening with a large pizza. Now, I hadn't had any dinner, but this pizza was for him. And he could see my eyes. My eyes were giving signs. Because this is what happens whenever anyone brings food into the house. I just stare at it. I don't say anything, I just keep looking. Like a dog when it's at your feet. That kind of thing. And Jordan, he's eating his pizza, and then he put 2 slices on a plate. He left them on the side, and he said, "James, that's for you." So he read the sign that I was giving him, that Father James wanted some of that pizza. So I was like, "Oh, thanks, Jordan, that's so kind." But he'd saved himself 2 slices as well, and he put those in the fridge. Now, he was sending me another sign. He's like, "I have given you 2 slices of pizza, so these 2 slices in the fridge, they're mine." But there wasn't a note on that pizza. So later on, everyone's gone to bed, and I'm a bit hungry. So I open the fridge, I'm like, "Oh, pizza." So I thought, well, there's no notice on it, there's no sign. I'm going to have that. So I ate those 2 slices of pizza, and I went to bed very happy. I was in the kitchen the next day, and Jordan comes downstairs. He opens the fridge, and I read the sign on his face. He was like, "Where's my pizza?" I was like, "What, those 2 slices in the fridge?" "Oh yeah, I ate them." He was like, "I was saving those for myself. I've been looking forward to that pizza all day." And he said, "I left you 2 slices of pizza so you wouldn't touch those 2 slices in the fridge." So we had to develop a new system, because I didn't see the sign he was trying to leave me. There were 2 slices. I wasn't meant to touch those in the fridge, so we had to reinterpret and develop our understanding. So when I open the fridge now and see something that's not mine, I'll ask permission first. It's a new concept. It's a new concept. But this happens in the gospel with Jesus, particularly in John's gospel, all the time. He performs a miracle, or rather he performs a sign, and the people take it in one way, and normally not the way in which he intends it. And it happens in the gospel all throughout John chapter 6. So last week, Jesus, with all the crowds following him, listening to his words, decides to feed them. Now, he only has 5 loaves and 2 fish. But miraculously, he is able to feed every person and have food left over. Interestingly, the scraps left over fill 12 baskets. The 12 baskets are symbolic of the 12 tribes of Israel. The fact that they are full and abundant means that this is a sign that God has come to restore, redeem, renew, and expand the kingdom of Israel. The sign for the reader is a bit clearer than it was for the people at the time. And it shows straight away in that gospel that they'd misunderstood the sign. Straight away. They've been fed by Jesus, and then what do they try to do? They try to pick him up and make him king. Because they see in this sign power. And a king is powerful. A king who can feed his people, solve hunger, can solve economic woes, who is powerful, can conquer their enemies. That's our king. They see the bread in earthly terms. So Jesus escapes. He escapes from them. It says he slipped through the crowd, as he always does. And then, in today's gospel, we've kind of skipped a whole bit of John chapter 6. They find him in Capernaum, which is like base camp for the disciples. And they said, "How did you get here?" And it's like, well, that's a funny question to ask. Or rather, when did you get here? As if they weren't expecting him to be there. That's because in the bit that we don't hear, which follows straight on from the feeding of the 5,000, Jesus had sent his disciples off in the boat to Capernaum, and then he had left his boat and walked over the water to them. So he'd left a sign. The sign was the empty boat. He had walked over water which is symbolic of chaos, death, and destruction, calmed the storm, untouched by that, and left something empty. The symbol of the empty tomb. He had shown himself to be the one who nourishes, and now he'd shown himself to be the one who redeems. They saw the empty boat and they thought, well, let's follow the disciples. They jump in their boats and they go across the Sea of Galilee, and then they see Jesus and they go, and you can see the shock. It's like, well, when did you get here? We saw your empty boat. They'd missed the sign. And that's when Jesus says, he rumbles and he says, you are not looking for me because of the sign I gave you. You're looking for me because you had all the bread you wanted to eat. And that's what you see me as. Someone who will fill your belly, who will fill your bank account, and give you all the easy solutions to what you think will make a fulfilled life. Because that is generally how people want to live. They say, if I have all, have you ever said this? If I just won the lottery, I'd be all right. Or if I just had this and that thing in place, I'd be happy. And Jesus says, that's not the fulfillment of life. That's not true fulfillment. The sign which I give you asks a deeper question. It invites you to look for a truer bread. A bread which doesn't just nourish the belly, but which nourishes the soul. Which allows it to navigate the hunger, the difficulties, the tragedies of life, and find true meaning and purpose. And they say to him, funny, this is the joke of the whole gospel, they say to him, well, what sign are you going to give us to prove this? It's like, I just multiplied food for 5,000 people, and they don't see it. And he says to them, you must believe in the one the Father has sent. That this sign is a pointer to something more, something deeper in you. You come after me to have your bellies filled. I come to you to fulfill you. To ask a question, to scratch the surface of a deeper hunger. A hunger for meaning in life. Because you know what? In life, we're all going to have troubles with money. We're all going to have troubles with relationships. We're all going to have troubles with sickness and aches and pains. And Jesus says, the solution to those isn't for me to take them all away, because you'll still have to live life. The solution is your relationship with me, which gives you the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional strength to navigate those choppy waters of life. And not just that, to be the navigator for your brothers and sisters. Because that empty boat, that empty tomb was bought at a price. And the price was the cross. So when Jesus is breaking bread and dividing it among his people, he is pointing people to that deeper sign, the deeper sign of the cross. And the true nourishment, which is that relationship with him, the bread of eternal life. He calls us to be nourished upon himself. Now, this is homily 2 of a 5-series homilies. Now, you might be thinking, I'm sure Father James said he's going away this week. I am. But I'm going to be preaching these homilies and putting them on our parish YouTube channel and on our website so that we can continue to develop this story. So I invite you to follow these homilies as they appear Sunday by Sunday. Next week, Jesus takes it even further. It's like he likes a good argument. So at the end of the gospel today, he says, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never be hungry. He who believes in me will never thirst. He's pointed them to a deeper hunger and a deeper thirst than the truly just material. At the end of next week's gospel, he says, and the bread that I will give you is my flesh. And we'll look at that a bit more next week. Amen.